Hello, and welcome back to the Embody Podcast. This episode is a rerun episode, which I've hand-selected for you based on what feels right at the moment, while I'm taking a little hiatus to replenish, restore, and cultivate some new ideas for the podcast, which will be coming up shortly. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and it's a good time to remind you that each of the episodes, as well as the experientials, are here for you when you need them. So whichever topic calls to you, it's a great time to tune in and use those tools. And if it doesn't feel like it calls to you, skip it. You can find all the podcasts at CandiceWu.com/podcast, and there's a search database for topics, themes, or tools that you're looking for, as well as all the experientials by me and guests at CandiceWu.com/meditations. Stay tuned for new episodes coming up on the podcast, as well as a whole new format for guest podcasts. Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Embody Podcast, a show about remembering and embodying your true nature, inner wisdom, embodied healing, and self-love. My name is Candice Wu, and I'm a holistic healing facilitator, intuitive coach, and artist, sharing my personal journey of vulnerability, offering meditations and guided healing support, and having co-creative conversations with healers and wellness practitioners from all over the world. This episode is sponsored by my Dreamwork classes on Skillshare. One of the things that helps me heal and to know myself and to claim the parts of myself that want to arise and express itself in this life are to work with my dreams. I never really knew how to do that or how to cultivate my dreams until the last couple of years, where I dove into dream work, and the deeper I do, the more my dreams bring me insight and the more I feel whole in myself. Sometimes my dreams even tell me the next step of something or predict what's going to happen. Sometimes they give me the key to a thing that's been missing or a struggle in my life. And I love that I can translate my dreams into an understanding that's embodied. So not just thinking about my dreams and analyzing them and looking up dream meanings, but feeling into the dream and what the energy of the dream is offering into my body, and letting my body take up that energy allows me to be even more in my life. So I have some Dreamwork classes on Skillshare, which is a platform that's like the Netflix for learning and tutorials. And you can find all those Dreamwork classes at CandiceWu.com/dreamclasses. At that link, you can also sign up to get a couple months free of a Skillshare membership so that you can access the classes. And also you can access classes from a variety of other teachers that are teaching on almost every single topic you can imagine. This episode is specifically about the fact that you cannot be more worthy or enough. And it's set to music in the background so that you can receive this like a download. Before we jump in, I also want to acknowledge some feedback that I received from a listener. I'm so grateful that you shared your reactions with me about the Anger podcast. If you don't know what we're talking about, it's the podcast about reclaiming your anger and moving through anger as a way to feel yourself, feel empowerment, to know yourself, and to let your expression be honored. It is found at CandiceWu.com/anger, and it comes with a couple of healing experientials that you can practice on your own so that you can move through anger with a little more ease. And in that podcast, I talked about how some people found it controversial to move with their anger or to feel their anger, that there is a taboo about anger, and there's this idea of it being dangerous and how it's paired up with aggression when anger in itself is helpful. So this is a letter from a listener. Candace, your anger podcast is one of the best things I've listened to in a long, long time. And as you may or may not remember, anger is like my number one issue since I was a little kid. And I identify so much with this podcast. What was absolutely fascinating to me was the idea that from some circles, expressing anger could lead to more anger. And it's an idea I've heard before, but one that seems annoying. I don't know if those same circles would say that expressing sadness would lead to more sadness, or expressing grief would lead to more grief. Some circles still stigmatize anger as something that very expression of it could damage the person expressing it. And he continued on to share another bit that to allow grief and sadness, to label them as health, but condone anger and label it as dangerous or childish is painful at worst, deeply masochistic, and ultimately suicidal at very worst. Emotions must be expressed in a safe way, and they do not perpetuate by being moved. However, ways of being do perpetuate. Anger is not a way of being, in my opinion. It's an emotion, and therefore needs to be moved so that ways of being can shine. So to this listener, I love what you shared. Thank you so much for your thoughts, your reactions, your personal experience. And I completely agree with you. I love how you said that having anger, moving anger, is not a way of being. And actually, I would add to that, if you are staying in the anger, if the anger is living in your system and it's not being moved, it's stuck there, it actually becomes a way of being. You start to get angry at all people around you when they've just done something tiny to slight you, or you scream at people in the car who've cut you off, or start to get mad at people that didn't really do something terrible, but have done something that might be irritating. The level of tension, the baseline is already increased, and that becomes a way of being if you let that sit in you. And I always say, just because you don't express something, it doesn't mean it's not already there. So when we have anger, if we don't express it in a safe way, in ways that are productive and help it move, it actually is still there. Just because you don't feel it doesn't mean it's not. So thank you so much to this listener. If you're out there listening, I appreciate what you shared. And as always, I'm just loving all the feedback that people send my way about their thoughts, questions, further inspiration, and ideas. So thank you. So if you're interested in listening to the episode that I'm referring to about anger, go ahead and go to my website at candicewu.com/anger. I am so glad you're here with me today. I'm in Bryan Head, Utah, and at the time that I'm recording this is just a couple of days before the Soul Body Healing Retreat, and I'm taking my own time to heal. And what's been coming to me very powerfully is this experience of worthiness and being enough. I find that whenever I'm in some form of suffering, in some place where I feel some depression or sadness, not like myself, just all out of whack, when I get down to the bottom of it, it usually has to do with being enough in myself, being worthy, and loving myself. And of course, along that journey is the ability to feel through different emotions and other beliefs that come up that tangle up with my self-worth and being enough. Do you experience this too? Do you notice in yourself the desire to keep up or compete with someone else, jealousy, or trying to fit into a certain way of being that's just not quite you? Feeling obligated to do things, feeling exhausted when you get home or throughout the day, your body feeling tense or sick. Some of these are signals and messages from our soul, from our body and spirit, telling us that there's something to heal. There's some belief set or deep core belief around worthiness or unworthiness that is wanting to be looked at so you get to your true self, so that you get to your true worthiness and light and all the gifts that are inside that will meet up with all the gifts from the outside. Because isn't that part of what we're afraid of? Is if we're truly ourselves, then we won't get something we think we need, or we won't receive something from our outer world that we're truly wanting. And if we just fit in the right way, we think that we'll get those things, but we actually recreate and enact the belief of unworthiness and constantly fight to get it. So this is the inspiration for this podcast today. And I invite you to have a cup of tea, coffee, or beverage of your choice, kombucha, anything that you like. Sit back, grab a blanket or pillows, something cozy. Or if you're on your commute, to just get your body in the most comfortable place you can. Close your eyes if you feel safe and good. Or just relax. And take this in as a bit of a energetic download, and let this download connect up with the resonance that's already deep down in you, in your core, that already knows that you are worthy, that already knows that you are enough, that already has love and light in you. Let yourself remember. So let's begin. You cannot be more worthy or more enough. Nothing you can do will make yourself more worthy at the core. We think that we need to do all sorts of things and achieve things so that we're seen for who we are, so that we can make money or receive some accolades. And while all those things can be worthwhile, deep down you are already worthy. It's a complete given that you're worthy. You can use your experiences, your accomplishments, your daily deeds and intentions as a tool to feel your own worth. But if you let yourself and your worth ride on these experiences, you may still end up empty. Have you had that experience where you've tried and done something out of that place of I'm not enough, or I need to be seen or else, or I need to do this or else? And once you accomplish it, you're pretty much in the same place as you were. It doesn't quite satisfy, it doesn't quite quench the need for deep love from the inside, that you're already worthy. You are worthy of your existence. Your life itself speaks your worth. That you're here at all is in itself the gift of being enough. You already are. And that was already decided when you came, before you came. And this life was designed by you, given to yourself, knowing this worth and playing out any of the untruths, the misbeliefs that you've collected over the years, the energies that have been accumulating that are not true or not aligned with your true self. And this life to find again and reconnect, align with who you actually are. There's nothing you need to do. Nothing you can do to increase your worthiness. It is a given. We came into being as children and needed the reflection, the mirroring, the validation and love of our parents, the attunement, so that we could learn who we truly are. And often we didn't get that. Often the soul or spirit of our parents was somewhere else, or had inherited its own set of limits. And we're here to release those dependencies, to know that we are much more powerful in ourselves. That yes, while we can receive from others, we can completely love ourselves, learn to love ourselves, and harness all of those energies in us that are our full power. For when we decide that we need someone else to give us that worthiness or love or something else, some achievement, some belonging, some person to validate us, money, anything at all from the outside, when we decide that those are the things that give us worthiness, we have dispersed our power and we will never be in our full power. The fullness, the wholeness comes with turning that energy of looking outward to know ourselves, turning that energy to look inward, reflecting to ourselves the light and the love that we actually are. It's a given that you're worthy. Are you worthy of abundance? You absolutely are. Abundance exists as you. You are abundance itself in human form because you are the source energy in a living physical body. The reality of abundance is you. It is your existence. And money is related right with the energy of abundance. Money and abundance is merely an energy. And it's the source energy. It's being aligned with the source of yourself, the source of the universe, the source of all creation that is divine, that is sacred, pure, and clear. There's an inner being in you that knows this clarity, that knows the source of yourself, that is the self of all beings, that is intricately and lovingly connected to all beings and the whole experience. And this energy that is abundance and money is the energy and exchange of this source, this joy, goodness, ease, power, expansiveness, acknowledgement, fullness, freedom, intuition. It's the state of well-being and prosperity that you are absolutely worthy of. You could not be more worthy. You could not be more lovable and enough in your own unique way. You are consciousness itself, knowing itself. In all its multiple forms, both seen and unseen. You are completely worthy of the joy that you desire. Joy is being in alignment with yourself. It is being in your purpose, in your expression, and what gets in the way. We get tied up in thinking we need to be someone else, fit in another person's idea or way of life. Perhaps we've inherited unconsciously ways of life that are not who we are. We've inherited energies, beliefs, ways of being and holding our bodies, ways of moving that don't quite feel like our own way. And that's exactly right. because those energies just want some acknowledgement so that they can go, or that they can be released back to where they belong. And we can be clear again in our pure self. Or perhaps a previous wound or experience is tapping on our shoulder or begging us to look at it instead of not look, to acknowledge and honor instead of disown or reject or resist. And all of that just making its way to the surface so we can clear out this body, clear out this soul, and be in our pure spirit. The lightness, the joy, the ease, the power, and worthiness. We can't ignore those things any longer. We can't ignore the things that are tapping on our shoulder, knocking at our door, because those are here to try to help us get to who we are, to help us come back to experiencing all of the ways we can experience, and then to know the freedom of creating our experience, the freedom of being at ease, embodied in ourselves, the place of spirit where previous action and karma, myths, stories, and beliefs that are of the past, that are blocking our fullness now, can be restored back to its source energy. We are made to experience pleasure, to experience all emotions as pleasurable, but also with the freedom to choose the kind of pleasure that we want to experience. And the freedom being that we can have the bandwidth, we can feel through all kinds of experiences. And we have the power to focus our energy towards the kind of experience we desire deeply in our spirit, connected with the source. We're made to experience our worthiness through our sexuality, which is our creative energy. We are more than worthy of experiencing our specific sexuality the way that it is, the way that it comes to us as right and aligned, and the way we want to create, whether that's life, another being, another human, whether that's expression and using your voice, using your body, exploring, doing a project and making something, moving towards something, all of that in our ease, in our inspiration, instead of from fear or the place of not enough, or from the obligations that we think we need to do. You are more than worthy of your health, an optimal health where your energy is flowing, because the source energy, the creative energy behind everything, and that is you, is energy flowing. And we can relate to the body, which is the tool to contain this source energy, and that can give us the movement and the manifestation, the concreteness to live the life we want to experience, aligned with who you are. You could not be more worthy of all the love that you want from the inside and from the outside. The relationship that you want, the relationships that you want. and to know your power and respect that it all begins from the inside, from your own loving, your own worth and value that is a given in your life, that is the way to be remembered and to flow into. Sometimes we aren't in our joy, aren't in our pleasure or alignment. And we can see ourselves quite literally moving towards someone else. Our energy going out towards someone else to protect someone, perhaps friends or family, and what they can have or do have. Sometimes it happens unconsciously where we believe that we can help another person by suffering as well, because we love another person, because we love our family or the person on the street, or the person in war and suffering, that we feel we ought to suffer the same way to share the burden. But that doesn't actually help anybody. We fear if we experience more, if we have more love, if we have the relationship that they actually want, or the joy in alignment that they actually want, if we have abundance, seemingly more than them, we fear that we betray them. But we can love in another way. We can love by acknowledging ourselves and loving ourselves, loving our ability to manifest what we want, loving by seeing them, being with them, acknowledging them, and honoring them for where they are in their lives, no matter how much they feel in their own worth. We are most helped when we can see that each individual is just as powerful as they are. When the true power comes through and we see that we're capable of taking so much responsibility and autonomy to give ourselves what we need, what we lacked growing up, the love that we need inside, the honoring that we need for the wounds that want to be seen, and the embracing of the joy that is available to everyone. We don't help anyone when we downplay their power by thinking we can help them, for it is each of our individual responsibilities to help ourselves, to heal ourselves, and to be supported along the way by others reminding us of ourselves. We don't help people by fixing them because they don't need to be fixed. They are already worthy too. And can we find a place of harmony where we see that each person is in their right place for themselves, that we don't need anyone to change or be any different than they are at this moment, and that is their free choice, their personal authority to decide where they want to be in their lives, to decide if they want to see their own worthiness, to decide if they want to heal. For we don't truly know what each individual soul and spirit needs for themselves, and perhaps the suffering that they are in, or the emotions they're experiencing, or the situation that they're in are exactly the right thing for them and are actually important to their journey. That perhaps they or we need to see something in whatever we're experiencing that we need to see what it is here for us and is not here for us. What is exactly this experience of all possibility of consciousness itself? And what do we want? And to bring ourselves back to the truth of what we do, desire, and who we are. You could not be more worthy. And the unconscious beliefs that we have that are about our unworthiness or not being enough or being nothing, being ugly, judging ourselves for whatever it is with shame or criticism, that is sending mixed messages out into the universe. And we receive from the universe the reflection of those beliefs that we're holding inside to give us the chance to notice them in concrete form in hopes that we will notice them inside of ourselves and to uncover them, give them what they need, release them to be in alignment with the pure source of our energy again. And when we are in that alignment, if you are in your right place within yourself, then you will receive what is rightfully yours. It's a given. All that is needed in your life flows to you in its multiple ways if you are aligned and working through the unconscious stuff that comes to the surface in its manifest form. So, what are the mixed messages that you're sending? If we focus our energy internally and on our experience, feeling through the body sensation, the emotion, the images, working with them from a place of love and curiosity, playfulness, lightness, as well as going into the grit of challenging emotion, terror and horror, all of that to excavate this body and soul, to clear the way for the source energy, for the creative energy to have a clear vessel as us, as our being. Giving way for us to receive and be exactly who we are, not what we need to be for others or for some idea and beliefs that we have about ourselves that isn't actually true. You could not be more worthy or more enough. So how can we feel into our own worthiness? How can we if we've never known this before? If this is a completely new idea, or perhaps you even reject it. You can use your experiences as a tool to feel your own worth, but not as a gauge. So if you scan your life for any experience where you felt enough or worthy or lovable, but hone in on the body sense, the felt sense, and the emotions, the way that your system and your body feels in that experience. Hone in on that. Giving attention to that will let that grow and evolve. It will help your nervous system and your soul remember, your heart remember the worth that you already are. You can also resource a person in your life or people in your life that help you feel worthy, that give you the feeling of validation or affirmation of who you are, and to feel yourself receiving that energy and practice feeling into that energy over time. And eventually without them, but in yourself. And what if you imagine all the people that you feel are worthy, that you feel are enough, or lovable, or good? And if you look at them, knowing you're a reflection of each other, if you say to them, I am not worthy, in a sense, it's as if they're saying back to you, then neither am I. And how does that sit with you? How does that feel inside of you? If you have children, or if you've created something in your life that is a reflection of something inspired in you, if you hold the belief that you are not worthy, essentially you're saying to your children or to this project, I am not worthy and therefore neither are you. And how does that feel? We can imagine ideal parents or other resources, angels or divine feminine and masculine that can support us in healing and repairing old wounds that we received when we were children, or beyond that in our soul. We can hold an image of prosperity and abundance and let our energy vibe with that and clear out anything that's in the way. And we can also tap into source energy, resonate with that so that the rest of the energies that don't align with that can make its way to the top, can make its way to expression and acknowledgement so that it can actually move. And you can feel in your body that you are source. You are the source of your world. You are the source of creation and abundance and worthiness for yourself, as is each individual person for themselves. Because we are all connected to the wholeness of all things, the universe, the source itself. So as we close today, I invite you to feel again that you cannot be more worthy and you cannot be more enough. And notice in the next few days what happens inside, if anything surfaces, because this may have planted a seed or connected with the light that's already in you, and it may release some of what gets in the way of you feeling your own worth. And whatever happens, I wish for you that you do feel that you are enough and it's a given that you're worthy. And not because I said it, because it is. Thank you so much for being here today with me. It's an absolute pleasure. I also love hearing from you and would love to hear your experience in listening to this podcast and what comes up. And for today, I will leave you with a little bit of music just to let this all absorb, integrate, and resonate in you. So stay with yourself if you have the time and feel what's happening inside of you. Feel your inner being, feel your presence. Notice the words, I cannot be more worthy. And it's a given that I'm enough. and feel any place in you that connects with that, even if it's a tiny, tiny place. So as we go today, I wish you all that you wish for, and enjoy this little bit of music. Take care, and I'll see you next time on the Embody Podcast.